Dorothea Hurley let her husband confess on national television. She did not stop him. She did not warn him. She sat at home while Jon Bon Jovi smiled at Michael Strahan and told an audience of millions that there had been 100 girls in his life, and she said nothing. Because she did not have to. He had just said everything for her, but to understand what that silence cost, and what it was worth, you have to go back 40 years. Back to Saraville, New Jersey. Back to 1980, when Dorothea Hurley was not a rock star's wife. She was something else entirely. She was an athlete. A serious one. Not a hobby-level dabbler. Not a girl who took a few classes after school. By 1999, Dorothea would be ranked the 4th best green belt in the entire United States. By 2002, she would hold a 4th-degree black belt. She had been training since she was a teenager, building something that was entirely her own, working toward a future that had nothing to do with stadium lights or album sales. She had a path. She had a plan. And then she fell in love with a boy who sat behind her in history class and thought, immediately and with complete certainty, that she was the one, that he was right. She just did not yet understand what being the one would require of her. Jon has told the early story many times, in the way that men tell stories about the women who changed their lives, with warmth and admiration and just enough detail to make it sound romantic. He saw her and knew. She was smart, beautiful, unimpressed by him. That last part, the not being impressed, he has always treated it as charming. What it actually was a signal. Dorothea Hurley was a person who had built something that made her less impressed. She had her own achievements to measure things against. She did not need his dream because she had one. And then she gave it up, not all at once. The erosion was gradual, the way most erosions are. They started dating in high school, and when his band opened for Southside Johnny in front of thousands of people, she was there. She chose a concert over a prom. She chose his moment over her own. That would become the pattern for the next 4 decades. So embedded in their dynamic that it eventually stopped feeling like a choice and simply became the terms of the arrangement. Diane 1985, they broke up briefly. Jon started dating actress Diane Lane. For roughly 5 months, Dorothea watched from the outside while her high school sweetheart dated a movie star. That is not a small thing. That is a specific kind of humiliation that leaves a mark. And when it ended, when Jon came back, she took him back. That tells you something about how much she had already invested. You do not take someone back after Diane Lane unless you have decided, on some level, that this person is worth the risk of being hurt again. By 1989, Bon Jovi was one of the biggest rock bands on the planet. The New Jersey Syndicate Tour was selling out stadiums across the world. Jon could have had anyone, and by his own admission, many years later, he largely did. But in the middle of that tour, he and Dorothea flew to Las Vegas. They walked into the Graceland wedding chapel. No celebrity guests, no magazine deal, no fanfare. They got married quietly, the way people do when the marriage is real. That should have been the story. The karate champion and the rock star, high school sweethearts who chose each other over everything the world was offering. But a wedding is not an ending. It is a contract. And the terms of this one would only become visible across time. Stephanie Rose Bon Jovi was born in 1993. Jesse James Lewis in 1995. Jacob Hurley in 2002. Romeo John in 2004. 4 children across 11 years. And for the majority of that time, their father was on a tour bus somewhere between Chicago and Los Angeles. Jon has admitted this himself. He missed birthdays. He missed school plays. He missed the unremarkable, irretrievable moments, the ones that compose a childhood, because someone had to be on stage, and someone had to be home. That someone was Dorothea. She could have kept competing at the national level. She had the skill. She had the ranking. She had the discipline. You do not reach 4th-degree black belt without a specific kind of interior architecture that most people simply do not have. Instead, she became a karate instructor in New Jersey, so her children could have stability, so someone would be at the recital, at the school pickup, at the dinner table. She taught other people's children while raising her own. While her husband's face appeared on posters in teenage bedrooms across the world, she traded a career for proximity. She traded a spotlight for constancy. And while she was doing that, while she was running the home and raising the children and putting her own ambitions into permanent storage, Jon was getting away with murder. His words. Not mine. But it would be another 15 years before he said them out loud. In April of 2024, Jon Bon Jovi sat across from Michael Strahan for an ABC special tied to the Hulu documentary Thank You Good Night, The Bon Jovi Story. He was doing promotional rounds, and for reasons that no publicist would have approved, he decided to be forthcoming. "I got away with murder," he said. "I will say it again on camera. I'm a rock and roll star. I'm not saying there weren't 100 girls in my life. It was pretty good. 100. Not a few indiscretions. Not a rough patch during a hard tour. 100. And he was smiling when he said it. He attempted to soften it in the same interview, saying he would never jeopardize his marriage, calling it excess he did not need, invoking something about not believing his own narcissism. But confessions have a physics of their own. Once the words have left your mouth, the air around them changes permanently. 100 girls is not a moment of weakness. It is a pattern. It spans decades. It runs concurrent with every anniversary, every family holiday, every school play he missed and every one she attended alone, and what she said, which was nothing, makes you go back and look at every red carpet appearance, every joint interview, every warm story about high school sweethearts, and wonder exactly how long the gap existed between what was being performed and what was actually true. A week after that interview aired, there was a screening for the documentary in New York City. John walked the red carpet alone. The tabloids immediately constructed narratives. A spokesperson for Dorothea eventually told Page 6 that she had tested positive for COVID and could not attend. That may be entirely accurate. But she had been at the UK screening just the week before. She had stood beside him, smiled for the cameras, played the role she had played for 35 years. And then her husband went on national television and bragged about 100 girls, and suddenly she could not make it. Believe whatever you choose to believe about the COVID explanation. But anyone watching this understands what absence communicates when words have failed to do the job. Here is what makes Dorothea Hurley a genuinely different kind of person. She did not leave. She did not grant an interview. She did not appear on a platform of her choosing and let the world watch her grieve. She built something instead. In 2011, Dorothea and John opened JBJ Soul Kitchen in Red Bank, New Jersey. The concept is precise in its generosity. There are no prices on the menu. If you can afford to pay, you pay. If you cannot, you volunteer an hour of your time. No one is turned away. No one is made to feel the weight of their need. John's name is on the building. But Dorothea is the founder and program director. She built the operational structure. She built the menus, the volunteer programs, the community partnerships. She did the work. Those last 4 words are John's, not mine. As of today, JBJ Soul Kitchen operates across 5 locations in New Jersey. They have served tens of thousands of meals to people who would otherwise go without. She built a functioning institution, not a vanity project, not a celebrity charity photo opportunity, but a replicable model of community feeding. While John was touring the world and getting away with murder, Dorothea was quietly constructing something that outlasts a concert, that matters in ways a platinum record does not. He got the fame. She got the work. That sentence is not accidental. It describes the entire marriage. John has been asked about the secret to their longevity, and his answers over the years are revealing in their cumulative weight. "Every day is a challenge and change," he said in one interview. "But if you're growing together, hopefully things will work out." That is not the answer of a man who has had an easy marriage. That is the answer of a man who knows, with some precision, exactly how much he has cost the person beside him. In 2016, he said something more direct. "Without her, I'm not sure how I would have coped." This is a man worth over $400 million. A man who has sold over 100 million records. A man whose name is on 5 restaurants and one of the most recognizable catalogs in rock history. And he is stating plainly that without Dorothea Hurley, he would not have held together.